From Montana to Mahomes, his call has been synonymous with Chiefs football.
Touchdown, Kansas City!
He's the voice of the Chiefs kingdom, and he joins The Drive every Monday at 4.
You can't doubt the Chiefs! You can dislike the Chiefs! You can disrespect the Chiefs! You're gonna have to deal with the Chiefs!
Here's Mitch Holthus.
I am very excited right now to be joined by the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs, Mitch Holthus. Mitch's appearance on the show is brought to you by GEHA, Government Employees Health Association Incorporated, and by Silverstein Eye Center. Achieve your best vision and experience outstanding patient care at Silverstein Eye Center. Mitch, it is very, very rare that you come in here that, man, I don't have anything to complain about. I mean, everything worked so great yesterday. The offensive line was fantastic. Pat played about as well as he played from a numbers perspective in 2 years.
Your therapy's going well.
Yeah, the wide receivers were good. The defense was good. Chris Jones got to the game on time. The popcorn was extra buttery. The beer was cold. There ain't nothing really to complain about from yesterday's performance.
No, and there was just the numbers between 2 and 2 and 1 and 3 are dramatic as far as where you want to get to. In getting there, there's only been one Super Bowl champion start 1 and 3, and that was 2001 New England Patriots, the year Bledsoe gets hurt and Brady takes over. But to get it done and to do it in all three phases, there were just some things beyond the obvious here that I think were noteworthy. No one's talking about Leo Chanel's interception. First of all, it's the biggest play of the game. The Ravens go down and score on a drive where they look like they've done the first 3 weeks and going to head for 50 points. And then because talking to the guys and Spags all week, it's like, can you get some stops? Can you get a steal? They had not turned it over yet. And then that play against Mark Andrews just kind of switched the whole feeling of the whole game. I don't think we talk about Leo Chanel enough. Do you know how many big plays this guy has made? And everybody just kind of glazes over it. He's the guy that stripped the ball from Christian McCaffrey in Super Bowl 58. That led to the recovery by Holtus. We know about the blocked field goal, but there's way more than that. For a linebacker to turn his hips, cover down the field against an all-pro tight end, and make that one-handed interception, you're not going to see that every day. And I saw something at camp with him I've never seen before. They repped him on OLDL, one-on-one. He would do linebacker against RB, pass protection, pass rush. Then he would run over to the other field and go 7-on-7 on coverage. I don't think I've ever seen it. Leo Chanel made the play of the game, in my opinion.
Right now, we're joined in studio by Mitch Holthus, voice of the Chiefs. This is what I led the show with. I thought that the Chiefs made the Ravens tap out. I'm watching Lamar Jackson just on the sideline, and I can't envision a scenario in which Pat is just sitting there for the final 15 minutes and not trying to do whatever he can to get back onto the field. Like, it was very telling to me, I don't know. It just felt like the Ravens had got down. The deficit was too big. They realized they couldn't win, and they just packed it in and moved on to the next game. I feel like there's always those kind of inflection points in the season. Last time I felt like this, you remember this game. Remember that game against the Jaguars back? It was probably 2019. Remember how the Chiefs had the number one offense and the Jaguars had the number one defense? The Jaguars had just come off the AFC Championship game. Telvin Smith was talking about the Chiefs offense and laughing about it. And I thought like the Chiefs went out there with like something to prove. And the Jaguars were kind of never the same after that moment. It felt like one of those kind of moments to me with the Ravens that we talked about them as being the Super Bowl contending team. And the Chiefs just went out there and just thoroughly dominated them. Basically, after that opening drive from the Ravens, they didn't really do much else for the rest of the afternoon.
No, but think of the context in which your statement is made. And I'm not going to agree or disagree with it. But Mike Tomlin has the longest tenure as head coach in the National Football League. Think about what the Steelers have been for years. When I say Steelers, what's your first word? You think toughness, right? The Ravens have been the same. And Harbaugh's second in tenure behind Mike Tomlin. If that assertion is true to tap out, you're talking a complete change in what the Ravens normally are. Because they have been, even if they haven't been the most explosive team, they've been one of the toughest, one of the top 5 toughest in the NFL. Now, the Lions may be that now, but still, for the Chiefs to kind of take the will away from the Ravens is a big statement.
Right now, we're talking to Mitch Holthus, voice of the Chiefs. I don't think that I have ever been more excited to see a running back get 3 catches for 27 yards than I was for Brashard Smith. You and I have been talking about this running back room, and I think a big part of it, at least in the short term, is they're not making a move in the next 2-3 weeks or so. It's about defining roles, and I think they've figured out the role. Hey, I know what Kareem Hunt can do. I know what Isaiah Pacheco can do. We can infuse Brashard Smith into this offense and use him in that Samaje Perine, Jerick McKinnon role. They hadn't done it so far in the first 3 weeks of the season. They finally had done it. That's the most hopeful I've felt about their running back room all season. You could kind of see the vision of where it can potentially go as the season goes on, especially if they can implement Brashard Smith more into the run game and what they want to do, and also throwing it to him out of the backfield. I mean, he got 4 targets in this game. I want to see him continue, especially with his background as being a former wide receiver. Throw it to him a couple of times out of the backfield, get him in space, and see what he can do. They did that. I thought he performed very well.
And let's put Xavier Worthy in this discussion.
Certainly.
Because I can just put an RB by Brashard Smith's name and put him in the fantasy football spreadsheet as an RB. But he's got WRRB. And I mentioned last week one of the most exciting things offensively about the Giants game was what? It was the side-to-side jet sweep, end around, flip pass motion. And whether that person gets the ball or not, it changes everything. And Brashard Smith did that. Even though he didn't put up numbers in the game against the Giants, he still had that threat. The jet sweep is gigantic for this offense. So that action, right? It can be a bunch of different things. Now you put Xavier Worthy in, who's got a WR by his name, but it's no joke. He was the leading rusher yesterday because an end around goes for 35 yards. Your assertion, I agree with, is everybody's got a role now, but Xavier Worthy almost is a slash with an RB in this discussion, and then I'll take Brashard Smith and RB and make it a WR slash, and that becomes a real weapon, especially if you got a short yardage guy that can pick it up like Kareem Hunt. So the fact that Worthy is back and he becomes a complement, you got 3 guys now on the 4x100-meter relay team if you throw in Thornton. Okay? And then you can put Hollywood Brown in there, and Rice is coming. So now all of a sudden you put real pressure on the defense, but it's predicated on the side-to-side motion of a jet sweep, flip pass, end around that can be an explosive run or a simulator run.
The point that I made earlier, and you were kind of getting into it, talking about Xavier Worthy, is, you need explosive players to come up with those explosive plays. And yesterday, you could really see the vision of what they see their offense being when they get Rashee Rice back here coming up in a couple of weeks. If you had Rashee Rice, you got Xavier Worthy, now everybody else can just kind of pitch into their role and be a complimentary, hey, one day it's going to be Juju, one day it's going to be Tyquan Thornton, one day it can be Brashard Smith. But you could just see how yesterday, man, their offense fed off of Xavier Worthy and his explosiveness. They don't have anybody else like that right now that's available. A guy that, as you alluded to, can run for a 35-yard catch, can also one-on-one against a corner just outright beat him and have a 37-yard catch down the field. Like, that was something that was missing in terms of that big play explosiveness in their offense that you get back with Xavier Worthy. You're going to get back here coming up in 3 weeks with Rashee Rice. And for the first time in the last year and a half, you can have your offense that you always envision, having your 3 wide receivers healthy with the addition of Hollywood Brown, and now adding a player like Tyquan Thornton and continuing to get Brashard Smith. You now go from having 1 or 2 weapons to potentially having 4 or 5 here coming up by the end of the month.
You can at least place in the AFC West track meet in the 4x1. And the fact that Smith now becomes a potentially more explosive version of Jerick McKinnon or Samaje Perine. So, yeah, you can see it happening. And the fact that now Andy Reid can open up, I talk about it with him tonight, he can open up the cookbook even more so with that 800-plus plays in his iPad. So, yeah, I mean, there's just all kinds of potential here. The other thing that it does, and what you just explained, was the Ravens kind of stayed with the same approach on Travis Kelce yesterday. Kyle Hamilton didn't get hurt in that game. They had dudes that got hurt, we know, on defense and came in hurt. But that play that they made on the boundary to Xavier Worthy was against Humphrey, and he wasn't hurt yet, okay? So that's a really good corner that Xavier Worthy beat. Great throw by Mahomes. But they stayed with the kind of bracketing of Kelce. If you stay with that, all of a sudden, all the guys you mentioned now are open up. They're going to be one-on-one. I don't care if you're playing zone or man. You're going to have them isolated. Now, you're going to have to change then to get the bracket off of Kelsey, which means it opens that up for a greater potential of being back to the effectiveness that we're used to when Kelsey's on fire. So one helps the other, and defenses are going to have to make decisions.
One thing that we were talking about earlier, and I just want to get your thoughts on, is the Chiefs, to me, have a way of getting the Ravens to play outside of themselves that kind of stands out to me. Like in these games, you would think you go get Derrick Henry after the AFC Championship game because the thought process is going to be, we're going to use him. We're going to run him 20, 25 times. And it felt like yesterday the strategy to me would have been for the Ravens, hey, we got to keep this defense off of the field. And if this is going to turn into a shootout, we just don't have the defensive pieces to keep up with Kansas City. To only give Derrick Henry 8 carries, and it seemed like that's been a theme of them. Remember that AFC Championship game? They only ran it 8 times in that matchup. Derrick Henry hasn't had 15 carries in the matchups between the Chiefs and the Ravens. It just feels like, at least when they play Buffalo, like Buffalo stays really true to where they are. Josh Allen, James Cook, we're going to get the tight ends involved. It seems like the Chiefs just force the Ravens to try to be something they're not almost in every one of these matchups against one another.
Going into yesterday's game, it was the first time since Lamar Jackson had been the starting quarterback in 2018 of the Ravens that, let's take weeks 2 and week 3. First time they had gone back-to-back without 100 yards rushing as a team. The AFC Championship game, you remember, they were going to have congressional inquiries into why the Ravens didn't run the ball more. 81 yards against the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game because they decided to not run the ball. In weeks 3 and 4, weeks 2 and 3, I should say, they try to be something they weren't maybe, or they're trying to get the passing game developed. If you take Justice Hill's 71-yard run out of this rushing total, they're under 100 yards again for 3 straight games. And so that's not happened while Lamar Jackson's been there. I don't know why they threw it on 4th and 1, and you've got Derrick Henry in the backfield, but I'm glad they did. It's a compliment, I think, to Steve Spagnuolo and the Chiefs defense, because the Chiefs defense has defended the run for the most part. Henry had the one run early, but after that, he was shut down. And they shut down Justice Hill, and they bracketed. Lamar Jackson didn't get free. So we got to give a lot of credit here to the Chiefs defense in playing at all 3 levels and playing effectively.
I don't think the Chiefs' run defense nationally gets nearly enough credit.
No.
Derrick Henry has 88 yards in the 2 games with the Ravens against the Chiefs. Like, they've done a great job against him. Christian McCaffrey in the Super Bowl. I know the result didn't. Like, they've done a great job against Saquon Barkley the 2 times that they've gone up against them with the Eagles. Like, their run defense and their ability to take, like, if you want to run the football against Kansas City, they have a way of kind of taking you out of doing that and forcing you to go with a very different game plan. I thought that was obviously very telling in this one and with the defense. It leads me to my next question. I don't think there's anything on this team that has transformed the most from Brazil to now than the defense. It was like, it's hard to even think that was the same defense that went down there to Sao Paulo. These 3 games since they've been there, that's the defense that I thought they were going to be this whole time. That's a defense that is in the conversation of being one of the best in the league.
Especially the secondary. They're making plays. So you can talk about Jackson Dart didn't play. It was Russell Wilson, but the Chiefs still held him to 1 of 10 on 3rd down after the week before they put up video game numbers on Dallas's defense. This week, Baltimore was number 1 by far in almost every offensive category. They went 3 out of 10 on 3rd down. That's 4 out of 20 against in back-to-back weeks. So the secondary has played at a high level, whether they're affecting the play directly or not. Coverages, communication, understanding, all of those DBs tackle. There is not one DB on this team that is afraid to tackle or put a shot on somebody, and that's a big part of the defensive work. I think the Charger game, man, there's just so much involved in that, and give the Chargers a lot of credit. They had a great scheme, but the travel, the clunkiness of it, it was just difficult for that team to come out and just play, for the Chiefs team to play on fire. It sounds like an excuse. Maybe it is, but it's real. It's real. And now for the next 3 games to stack them up 3 games in a row, especially the secondary. We got Trent McDuffie on the show tonight, and that's something I'll ask him about. what happened between week 1, because now it's been week 2, week 3, and week 4 against Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, and a Giants team that was coming off one of their best offensive performances in recent years when the Chiefs played them. So that is a big story. And, yes, it's undertold how good the run defense has been, but how much improved the secondary of the back seven, including the linebackers, have been.
Let's move to the other side of the line of scrimmage. This was the best game we saw from Kingsley Suamataia.
Yep.
Jawan Taylor didn't commit a penalty in this one. They controlled the line of scrimmage. They kept Pat upright. I mean, I mentioned it. We were kind of joking about it. Like, the Chiefs really dominated this thing from start to finish. And that starts with the line of scrimmage on both sides. The Ravens didn't run the football effectively. The Chiefs ran the ball as well as they have so far this season. They also kept Patrick Mahomes upright. That led to one of the best offensive production days that we've seen for the Chiefs in a while as well.
And you saw what happened, not only getting Xavier Worthy involved in the offense, but what one more click of time means for Patrick Mahomes. Just give him one more count. Just one Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. Just give him that much more time, and all of a sudden, incredible things can happen. And so that was very evident yesterday. Now, things could be different this week because this Jacksonville defense is just like ripping the ball loose from everything it can find. And this is a good Jacksonville front. So you're going to go back to facing more of a giant-type front. We saw what the giant front did yesterday to the Chargers. I mean, that I don't think there's enough credit of, like, fighting those guys because New York Giant front's talented, but so is Jacksonville. But there has to be an infusion of confidence. If we're going to talk about then the week-to-week improvement of the secondary, we've got to also talk about the improvement, especially in Kingsley Suamataia, in not just run but pass protection. But there was an attitude among the offensive line yesterday too. When I went back and reviewed the video this morning, I told you when I do play-by-play, I can't follow the line. You have to follow the football and what happens to describe it. So Monday mornings, I look almost exclusively at the line of scrimmage on both sides. And what I saw was an attitude. There was a 2 sequence of plays, a run by Pacheco that's zone blocking. That's just moving guys around. And that was done, even though it was a 4-yard gain, I thought, man, they came out with aggression. The next play, they ran a power O. Play side, Trey Smith stones his dude. But here comes Suamataia pulling inside, guard to guard, in a power O action. And it ends up being a double-digit run because I just think the offensive line took it to them. Now they're going to have to do it again against Jacksonville, and especially against the Lions coming up. But yeah, there was great signs of progress yesterday among that group.
Right now, we're joined in studio by Mitch Holthus, voice of the Kansas City Chiefs. Let me ask you a quick Ravens question really quickly. It's not very often that you have a playoff game in Week 5, Ravens and Texans in Week 5. I mean,
Week 4 was too now.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like both of these.
That's what yesterday felt like.
Absolutely. A major swing game for both teams. I mean, I don't know, like, at some point you just got to start winning these games. Houston's got off to a slow start. The Ravens have got off to a slow start. We'll find out this week if Lamar Jackson is going to play. That feels like an elimination game in a sense. Also, looking at the Ravens' schedule, the Ravens play Houston. They have 3 straight home games: Houston, the Rams, and the Bears coming up in these next 3 weeks. I think the Rams are one of the better teams in the NFC. I like this Chicago team. They got enough on offense that can really give you problems. Certainly if you can't get stops the way the Ravens can get stops right now. I made the comparison earlier. The Ravens, to me, kind of feel like last year's version of San Francisco. 2 years ago, they went to the Super Bowl. They had everything. Last year, McCaffrey missed a bunch of time. Brandon Ayuk missed a bunch of time. Trent Williams missed some time. Sometimes there's just those teams that pop up every year that they got the talent, but for whatever reason, the injury bug decided to bite them. That kind of feels like that could be this year's Ravens team.
Yeah, 3 responses. One, it makes you appreciate the Chiefs having 12 straight winning seasons, doesn't it? Think how hard that is based on what you just said. Because everybody seems to have a dip. There's a 7-10 in there, an 8-9. The other 2 responses would be maybe the same response with 2 different discussions. That didn't make sense. But what's the AFC South and the AFC North going to look like in December? How many wins are the Steelers going to have? You know, I was talking with Jerry Sandusky, the outstanding, not the outstanding play-by-play guy at the Baltimore Ravens yesterday. And there's this feeling like the Steelers can't continue this. They look like, can they be 10-7? Is this a division in the AFC North that you can win at 10-7? Maybe, especially with Burrow out. Then what about the AFC South? Are the Colts going to be 13-4, or are they going to be 10-7? What are the Texans going to end up being? Are they kind of that? So we have divisions here that are 9-8, 10-7 division winners. I think becomes a discussion. If it's going to be 10-8, the Ravens can get there. What I'm not seeing, that defense, I'm not sure they can fix it. And now you throw in, are they not going to have Roquan Smith this week, Marlon Humphrey, and the guys they lost in yesterday, and then with the guys they've already lost with Matabike being on IR. I'm not sure you can get that fixed enough to try to get the 9 or 10 wins, and you got to ride this offense all the way. But if you get to 9 or 10 wins, we may see the Ravens in the playoffs, just because I don't see that division of being – there's no 14-3 team in the AFC North.
Two last things here, and I want to learn a little bit more about Chiefs Kingdom. You got Trent McDuffie appearing on the show. Every year, the Chargers show us at some point who they are. Every single year. And the Chargers, I think, desperately want us all to believe that they're different. Every Chargers team for the last 20 years loses that game. Like, you go on the road against the Giants, rookie quarterback, first start. Like, this is a game if you're a true contender. Kansas City, not 100%. They found out a way to win. The Chargers always kind of lose that game. And going back to something you just said, kind of two parts here, jumping around. You mentioned the AFC South, and you didn't mention Jacksonville in this one. Like, this is kind of, I'm saying, like this is kind of one of those games, if you're Jacksonville, like, you're probably not getting the national respect that you deserve. Nobody's talking about you. If you beat Kansas City on Monday Night Football, people are going to be talking about you of, hey, maybe we got to consider them. Maybe they are going to win their division. Like, this is a really big prove-it spot for Jacksonville to prove if they should be in that conversation in the AFC.
They're and I should have mentioned them because I've been working on them today. They're the third team in the last 30 seasons that have had 3+ takeaways in every game in the first 4 games of the year, and fewer than 400 total yards allowed. I was thinking, when's the last time it happened? It was the 0-2 Eagles of Andy Reid, and that was Jim Johnson. Remember, the defensive coordinator died too soon of cancer. But the point is, Jacksonville's nasty now. They only had 9 takeaways in 17 games last year. They're sitting here looking at 13 takeaways in 4 games and 41 points off those takeaways. They're young and feisty and physical, and Travis Etienne's playing great. He had a huge game yesterday. They get Lawrence, where he didn't turn it over yesterday. He had been turning it over in the first 3 games, but I should have mentioned them. What is the AFC South like that? Do you have a 13-4 team? I don't know if the Jags can get there, but that might be your best candidate. And, yeah, this is a big game for them. Same with the Chiefs. But this is a much better Jacksonville team than I think maybe Chiefs Kingdom fans want to give them credit for. They're looking at last year's team. Nope, this is a new team, and they're fast and furious.
What do you have upcoming for Chiefs Kingdom tonight?
Coach Reid, and, again, he's in a different spot in these Monday night chats. It's awesome, man. It's awesome. It's like he's sitting down having wings with you at Hy-Vee. That's what it feels like. And so we get into a bunch of stuff tonight with him. But then Trent McDuffie, and now I see a transition in Trent's career in the fact that now all of a sudden he becomes the mentor for a Jaden Hicks or a Noel Williams, where I'm excited about. The other part of the discussion is Noel Williams getting to the point where you thought we were going to have Christian Fulton be that guy so that you can play Trent McDuffie more in the slot? Because he may be, we've said this before, when he's in the slot, maybe the best slot corner in the league, especially as a pass rusher. He rushes the quarterback from the slot like an edge rusher does, not like a DB who's just kind of nilly-milly going after him. McDuffie's a superb rusher and great cover guy in the slot. So, but to do that, you got to have somebody on the outside emerge when you go to 3-corner nickel. We play a lot of 3 safety nickel, but if Noel Williams is getting there and gets there, or Fulton can get healthy in there, all of a sudden your defense can go up 2 notches because you got McDuff in the slot doing what he does best.
Have you been to 1587 yet?
Not yet. I can't get in, man. I thought I knew
Mitch,
some people.
I
ain't met Taylor yet. Like, it's like I can't get nothing done with Kels.
Mitch.
I can't.
Come on now.
I know.
What's happening here?
I don't know.
If there was anybody that should have been
I lost my fastball. I was like trying to get in. I tried to sneak in. You know, I don't think you saw my, they kicked me out. So I don't know if I'm like on some picture up on the wall, like don't let him in. I'm just trying to.
Your voice should be greeting people when they walk into the venue.
That's what I'm thinking. But, hey, maybe you need to rep me with those guys and help me out. I think Pat would let me in. I think it's Kels that's stonewalling me.
You think that's what it is?
Yeah, I think it's Kels. He's stonewalling me.
That's for sure.
My granddaughter goes, have you met her yet? Have you met her yet? That's the first thing she says. I love you, Grandpa. It's like, have you met her yet? No, I haven't met her yet because Uncle Kels won't let Uncle Mitch see her. Like, it's just, I know it's a travesty, man.
What's your favorite side? We've been talking about this since the steakhouse opened. I'm a big crab cake guy. I guess appetizer. I'm a big crab cake guy. And then for my sides, give me a little mac and cheese. Give me a little mashed potatoes with my steak. I'm good.
Yeah, no, I'm crab cakes as well. But a cream corn, I'm not, where we're going with that. I can't say them right now on the air, but you give me some cream corn with, oh yeah, I'm in all day.
Mitch Holthus, voice of the Kansas City
Let
Chiefs.
me in, Kels. Let me in.
Yes,
please.
we got to figure this out.
Let a brother in.
You know what? I got to ask. When Pat comes on, we're going to figure out a way.
Ask him, Mitch Holthus.
Yeah, Mitch Holthus
can't get a table.
Mitch Holthus said he wants to go to 1587. Who can we talk to help for Mitch Holthus?
Please ask him.
That is the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs. Mitch Holthus joining us on the show. Coming up on the other side, the question that everybody is asking about the Chiefs' performance yesterday. We'll ask you. Keep it right here. So drive.